thank you for coming. I don't know, I think most of you know me, but if you don't, my name is Moriana Garcia. I'm one of the science librarians at Carlson Library. And I have been involved with open access and open scholarships, I think since my first month here. So I have been working on this for almost 3 years now, or more than 3 years. Today, I hope to share with you a kind of a broad overview of what open scholarship is and why it matters to us, to libraries. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I'm available if you're curious about any aspect to talk to you more. I'm going to do really a broad overview and cover a lot of terrain. But I want this to be very interactive in a sense, so if you have any questions, please interrupt. We can talk, we can chat, and I can run through the last slides. Who cares? Yes. So we're fine. So let's go. Open scholarship, in a sense, is what we call an umbrella term. It's a term that encompasses a lot of other things under it. So open access publish, open education, open science, open data, open source, etc. And it includes a lot of ethical issues that are good for open scholarship and some that can be problematic. And this, we call it an umbrella term because all these different types of resources, in a sense, or functions, are protected by what we call open access. So in a sense, everything under scholarship, open scholarship, relates to the fact that they have an open access license in a sense, or they can be classified as open access. So that open access protects from copyright. To understand better, here is Peter Suber's description of what open access is. So open access literature is digital online, free of charge, and free of most copyright and licensing restrictions. And I would say that it's more than literature, yes? Now we can say it's open access information. It's a lot of different formats, varieties, it comes in all different ways. And the big important part is that it needs to be digital. It needs to be online, yes? Because if it is digital, but only in my computer, who cares, yes? It needs to be online, it needs to be connected, and needs to be free of charge. The free of most copyright and licensing restrictions is the part that we can unpack next, yes? What does it mean, free of most copyright and licensing restrictions? Well, let's talk a little bit about copyright, yes? And this is the very basics of copyright. Copyright is a protection provided by the law of the United States and other countries. Each country has its own, although there are international agreements for copyright. And protects the rights of the authors of original works. It could be literary, dramatic, musical, artistic. It's part of intellectual property. You have trademarks, you have patents. They are all under intellectual property. The thing is, the copyright gives the author the right to copy, create derivatives, distribute, perform, and display exclusively. So they can authorize others, but they are the owners. If they want, they are the only one that can do that for anything that is copyright. And the important thing is, currently, is the life of the author plus 70 years. Mainly, you can assume that any work created after 1923 is copyrighted. There is a lot of gray area between 1993 and other years because the law changed gradually, but now what we are here. So anything that you put on a tangible medium, it's copyrighted. It doesn't need to have any sign for copyright. Okay? So basically, everything is copyrighted. So how does that place with open access, yes, with people having access to that? Well, the thing is, now we have what is called Creative Commons licenses. These licenses modify your copyright to allow other people to do things with your creation, okay? And these are the most common. The CC0 or universal is a public domain dedication. That means that although theoretically you have the copyright, you are telling the public, I don't care. I'm putting this in the public domain. You can do whatever you want. You don't need to assign me anything. It's on the public domain. And the public domain is that there is no copyright anymore, so anybody can use free use. Then there is the CC BY, which asks you to do attribution. So you can access, you can do whatever, but you need to attribute the alpha. You need to say who created this. Then there is the share alike, attribution share alike. So you can do whatever, you need to attribute, and you need to share in the same way that I did. That allows people to keep sharing open access things in an open access way. So you cannot suddenly close access to something that you acquire through open access. And the no derivatives, this is a kind of controversial one, but basically what it says is you can access this, but you cannot modify. You need to keep it as it is. Don't touch it. Share, but don't touch it. And the non-commercial, you can access, you need to give me attribution, but you cannot make money from it. The non-commercial also is not very well defined. What is non-commercial? So if, for example, a charity wants to use a copyright material, and it has a CC attribution non-commercial, they might go into a problem. Okay? So they are not making money for them, but they are making money. So it's kind of, some of them are more controversial than others. But these, basically the Creative Commons licenses, allow you to use copyrighted materials under an open access umbrella. Okay? Any questions? No? Let's move on. So let's go to those buckets of information behind the open scholarship, below the open scholarship umbrella, yes? And one of the main ones is open access publishing. When you publish something and you want to be open access. And there are a lot of publishing models, and a lot of different publishing, open access publishing models, and they proliferate. We have a new one here that I had to add to my previous design. So the traditional publishing model in scholarly publishing model, yes? A scholar creates an article, a book, it goes through peer review, they publish in a journal. So they submit to a journal, goes through peer review, is publish it. And anybody that wants to access that needs to pay a subscription to the journal. And it's usually institutions, libraries that pay big buckets of money to access that close. The open access model changes that in the way that now it's not the final user that pays, but is the author that pays. Those are one of the main differences. Another big difference is in some of the open access models, in all these, the peer review happens before publishing. In the green open access model, the peer review happens after publishing. So let's talk about them. The most well-known models is the green and gold open access. How many of you have heard about green and gold open access? Most of you, yes? And the funny story is that the name comes not because of money in any way, but it's because of ripeness of a fruit. The green fruit is this, and this is the ripe fruit. That is the green and the gold. And it's because the green model uses a manuscript. It doesn't use the final paper, the final publication. So it's kind of an unripe fruit. It's not the final one. That is why it's green. So it's a manuscript, usually put on a repository that is maintained by an institution, and then after it's published in the repository, people can comment, and scholars and others alike. And then it's open to the rest of the world. The gold system is the one that is traditionally in open access journals. In this case, it's like a regular journal, but instead of having a subscription model, the author pays to publish. Those are called APCs, article processing charges. The hybrid is a mix of the gold with the closed, in which you have a subscription journal, but you can pay an extra charge to have just your paper be open. So publishers kind of do what they call a double dipping here. Subscription from some people, open access from others. Bronze is a funny one because this is publishers that own this resource, but for marketing purposes, they make it open access. So people can access and cite it because they want to be cited. But they keep complete control over that. So they can take the open access of it. And the diamond platinum is kind of the gold, but an institutional base, so the author doesn't have to. So there are several open access journals that are completely maintained by institutions, so authors don't need to pay. Any questions? No? Okay. Yeah.
What would motivate a scholar to actually want to have their article gold? Especially with the costs of their point.
Because of the impact. In a sense, when you publish, the importance here is although you need to pay ahead as an author, the amount that you pay here in relation to what university pays is a lot. It's a big difference. Of course, as an author, they might not care. But what they do care is that articles that are published open access, they are cited more. They have a higher public impact. So a lot of new and the younger generation of scholars care and care about community engagement and about their ideas being widely available and as soon as possible. And the only way to do that is through an open access model, because the subscription model means that only institutions that can pay can open that result, and only people in those institutions are the ones that are able to read it. So restricts your impact in a big way. So basically, it's to increase your impact. Okay?
Morning.
Yes.
I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but there's variety depending on discipline. Like math, they seem to have this desire for all of their things to be open.
Mm-hmm.
Physics also.
Yes.
Because there's so many people participating.
Yes.
They want, to share.
And that's true. I didn't mention, but yes, in the open access movement, there is huge difference in disciplinary differences. The sciences are ahead of the humanities and the social sciences. Kind of thing is the sciences, the social sciences, the humanities. And that's because of the way that those communities share information. In the science, communication needs to be very, very quick, because science knowledge changes very fast, all the time. It's why they publish through articles, why they want that information available very quickly. Speed is important. While in other communities, for example, the humanities people, they might take years to study a particular topic, and even more years to share that in a book. Yes, many humanists share their knowledge through books. So information is distributed in a different pace for humanists, and that influences the way that people want or can gain this impact, and the influence of, okay, immediate access for everybody to this information. But I think many humanists are starting to realize that their own practices have restricted their universe to a very small pool of experts that can actually read and access what they create. And open access might be a way to open what they care to the whole community and get more engagement from the community. I think open access can serve the humanists in a big way, in that way, by bringing the community into things that they care. Thank you.
Could you repeat what you said about diamond and platinum?
Okay. The diamond platinum is the new one, and they call diamond platinum. They haven't decided yet what name they want to use. Is what I put both. Is why it's very new. So some people say, no, it should be diamond, no, it should be platinum. The difference is those two are journals. But in the gold, authors need to pay processing a charge. You need to APC, article processing charge. The thing is, publishing is not free. You need to pay for the process. You know, you have the website, you have the editorial work. So publishing is never free. Someone is going to pay for it. In the gold, the author pays for the publication cost. While in the diamond platinum, an institution pays.
Oh, okay, so it's the institution paying.
Yes. So
instead of the author.
yes, yes. Or basically, they support the journal, so they don't need to charge APCs. All the publication costs are covered by the institution. And you have some journals that have that type of model. Okay, let's move on. Something that is important, I told you, the difference between the gold and the green. Yes? In the traditional model, the peer review. Peer review is very important because for scholars, they consider that peer review is the mark of quality to a scholarly work. Something is made full, wholesome, good, because a peer review panel said that this was good and it could be published. And so, in the traditional model, the author submits a work. Their name is open, everybody can see. And the panel, the peer review panel, their names are hidden, so, you know, anonymous. You don't know who is reviewing your work. And they decide if you can publish or not, and that work is available. There is one that I consider a bit more fair, in a sense, is double blind, where you don't know the author and you don't know the panel. Nobody knows who they are. It's kind of, it can be bypassed in a sense. If you work in a topic that has a small community, you kind of guess who is the owner of that work, where it's coming from. So it's not perfect, but it's better than this one. This one might allow someone, for example, in the panel that is working on the same type of work to behave if they want, or so they shouldn't, unethically, and they might decide to block a particular publication just because it's a competition to what they are doing. So there are some issues here. The double blind might be more fair. Those are very traditional. Most of the open access journals actually have adopted an open model in which the author is known and the panel, the peer review panel, is also known. And some of them have gone farther and actually opened all the documentation. So the peer reviews, comments, and their evaluations are actually made open. So everybody can see the entire process. There are good things to that, and also, you know, the fact that everything is open. If you have, for example, a big name publishing an article, and you are in the peer review panel, and you are a small fish, oh, you might feel like, oh, should I criticize this big name? It might be daunting, like decide, oh, I found something wrong with your paper, but you know, you might not like me after that. So, you know, every model has its pros and cons. And this is the green one. The green one this happens after the manuscript is out. And it might not happen if nobody cares about your work. You might not get anybody looking at it or making any comments. But the idea here is that you will have scholars, like in the physics community, the math community, that look at the manuscripts very early, make comments, and actually contribute to the work being published after somewhere else. And members of the community can also participate. Let's check how I'm doing. Oh my gosh, need to go. Okay? So, here is just an example of some preprint repositories. So, places where you can put the green open access, the manuscript. PNC, PubMed Central, is kind of a weird thing because you can start with your manuscript, but it's supposed to only for things that are in the process of being published, that have been accepted. It's just that it allows the manuscript while you are in an embargo period. Publishers sometimes put embargo periods of 1 year that nobody can access that article unless they pay for a subscription, so they can earn money during that period. But if you use that money from the NIA, you can put the manuscript in PNC, okay? And here are the others. Archive is the most famous of the preprint repositories. Physics, math, they go here. BioArchive is the one getting a lot of traction. Now, this is a new one, a few years, and a lot lot of the biologists now felt compelled, in a sense, to put their papers in bioarchive, their manuscripts, receive comments, and then go. There are a lot of different preprints communities that are coming, all supported by the open science framework preprints. And you have agriculture, psychology, engineering. You have a ton of new preprint servers. This is for social sciences, and OpenDoar is actually a place where you can go and search for preprints repositories all in one packet. So you go there and you find preprints in a lot of different repositories. Okay? Most of these resources are in the Open Scholarship LibGuide, so you can go there and check the links to those. So, remember I talked about money, article processing charges, book processing charges, APCs, BPCs. This is, yes, this is the big hurdle, yes, the big wall. Because we are changing from the institution base to the author base. But it's not really the author in a sense. It could be the funder. And I think that it's fair to say that it should be the funder. Publication costs are part of your research costs. So if your funder pays for your research, it should pay for your publication. But there is a discussion there. In the university, parties pay for the funders, parties pay by the institution, yes? So who is going to pay this? Who is going to give this money? That is a big discussion in the community right now. One of the ways to fund this is to create an open access fund. This is a report from SPARC. SPARC is the main organization supporting open access here in the United States. It stands for Scholarly Publishing and Academic Resources Coalition. Scholarly Publishing and Academic Resources Coalition. And this report shows the open access fund growing in the United States between 2009 to 2014. So many libraries or institutions are starting to create these funds to support authors that do not have money to pay for open access if they want to go there. So a lot of those institutions do these, so create these funds under an open access policy, which gives them the kind of the permission to actually support or allows them to support open in more institutional ways. And institutions sometimes, some institutions, they open access policy that says if this institution supports open access, can be part of a library, like in Harvard, the Office of Scholarly Communication is part of the library, or could be outside of the library, as part of the Office of the Provost, for example, like in Johns Hopkins. So libraries can have different roles here. They can be the leader or they can be part of it. There is a database called Sherpa Romeo where you can find all publisher copyrights and self-archiving policies that are going to tell you if a journal allows you to put your manuscript in a repository or not, and what are their copyright restrictions. And there is another called Sherpa Julian that actually gives you funders policies. Some funders now require you to publish open access, some do not. So you can go there to see if your journal or your funder requires. And there are some government acts. I think this is the last one, the Public Access to Public Science Act, that now says that research paid with government money should be made public, should be made open. Of course, all these affect the research impact of those authors. And as I mentioned, open access practices, there is a lot of evidence showing that increase their research impact. Because more people have access, more people read, more people have their work, and they have better engagement with the community. So it affects the research impact of your authors and your institution. Something that is a lot in the news lately, and I don't know how many of you have heard, about Plan S and the University of California Elsevier deal with cancellation. How many? I think most of you, yes? So you know what it is. So Plan S basically is coming from Europe. Plan S says all of the funders got together, so the people that have the money, and said everything needs to be open immediately without embargo by 2020. This is a huge thing now in Europe, huge discussion, and it's kind of influencing also the United States. The United States has a kind of a different position. Europe has been supporting gold for a long time. They have been paying the APCs for a long time, the funders. Here, we are a lot more on the green, yes, the free manuscript part. But the problem is that the measurements of research impact are very different between a preprint, a manuscript, and a final publication. So when the preprints get the same repeatability as a final publication, then the green will have the same value. So this is Plan S, and it's pushing the publishers very heavily to move to open access models instead of subscription. What University of California did, they wanted with Elsevier a deal so they could pay a lump sum of money above their subscription and get all their authors open access. So everything that went to publish would be open access, and it didn't work. Elsevier asked for too much money, so they ended up canceling even the subscription. So that is a huge influence, and a lot of other libraries that have those very, very expensive packages to rethink, do we want those very expensive packages? Can we get an Elsevier? Can we pressure Elsevier to allow us to move open access or not? And it is a huge system, and someone said that they represent 10% of Elsevier publications. So it's a big for Elsevier. So there are some open access directories where you can go and find, like the directory of open access journals. Here you can find all the journals that are open access, and the directory of open access books. You can find peer review open access books. And this is the European one, OAP, the European network, open access publishing in the European networks. So, publishing relevance for libraries. So, on this side, I have kind of internal, and this more external. Main, collection management, of course. How are we going to pay for things? What are we going to do with everything is open access? Are we going to catalog or not? Also, institutional repositories, because if we need to put manuscripts in an open access way that do not fit in any other disciplinary, we might need to really support an institutional repository. Also, resource access, as I mentioned, are you going to catalog open access books, or are you going to try to find them only through your discovery layer? What's going to happen? Also, it's very important for interlibrary loan. There are models where interlibrary loans try to find a manuscript first before paying for a subscription access. Of course, this talks about the institutional leadership of the library in a sense. Okay, how are we leading this, or are we not? What is going to happen? With the metrics of research impact, libraries take, many times are the ones tracking citation, for example. So impacts, open access might impact the way that we do that. And scholarly publishing, our people, they may need support and information so they can make decisions about their publishing. And of course, copyright support. Well, let's talk about open education. Okay, there are another backlog there. Open education, let me see my time. To move. Open education encompasses resources, tools, and practices that are free of legal, financial, technical barriers, and the user share and tablet. It's about anything in education that is open, and it could be materials or practices. Okay, and this is from Robin de Rosa's presentation, and she says that in open education it has three parts. Yes, the open access, the publishing, the open pedagogy, that is about teaching with open resources in an open mode, and also open educational resources, which is a particular type of open access resources that can be modified. And she ties that to teaching, to service, and to scholarship. Open educational resources, they are known all around the world. They are groups supporting open educational resources all around the world. Oh, so, this is from UNESCO, and those are guidelines for open educational resources in higher education. And this is the global law for open educational resources. So this is global. Open educational resources, I said, it's a particular type of open access resource that follow what is called the 5 R's. And those 5 R's were created by David Wiley, which is one of the big leaders on the OER movement. And it means that anything that is considered an OER, you can retain, you can reuse, you can revise, remix, and redistribute. And the important part here is revise and remix. You are allowed to pick up that content and change it, and add it, and move it around. That's the difference between an OER and other open access resources, where you can access, you can use, but you cannot modify. So if it has a no derivative, it's not an open educational resource. There are a lot of OER platforms where you can go and find open educational resources, and it could be textbooks, could be syllabi, could be a lot of educational materials, rubrics, etc. And as I said, you can access those in the Open Scholarship Guide, links to those. In the open pedagogy movement, so part of this open education, Rajiv Jandani and Robin DeRosa are the 2 big names to know. And they consider open pedagogy an access-oriented commitment to a learner-driven education. So it's an emphasis on the students as co-creators of the educational experience. So the open pedagogy is more than using open resources. It's about a philosophical way of teaching in which you embrace student contribution, and whatever you create during the course doesn't go to the wastebasket, actually goes back to the community. That is the important thing. This website, the Open Pedagogy Notebook, is a great place. It's relatively new that you can go to check more. It's not on the LibGuide, but I'm going to put it. And you have other links there, okay? And you see, modify and modify these. So I'm exercising my open educational resources right to use that quote and modify. One thing that is happening is that many publishers, many publishers are starting to lose revenue, and they are worried. So they are coming with mechanisms to do what is called open washing. That is, they have practices that they are trying to sell as open, but they are not. They are still charging, and they are still making money from you, but they sell the package, they market as open educational practices. So that is called open washing, and yes, that's why it's underwear. Because it's a dirty marketing strategy, and you need to be very careful to discover when they are trying to do that to you, okay? One of them, for example, they offer packages of books for a small price to all the students in the university. But the thing is that even if it's a small price per student, because they are going to get for all your 10,000 students, they are actually making a ton of money of those resources. So they are selling more books than if they had to sell one by one. Anyway, that's open washing. You need to be careful about that. Open education, relevance for libraries. Of course, textbooks, that's the main one. Textbooks cost a lot of money for students. If you use an open access and open educational resource, the students don't need to pay. It's important for research, yes, because you don't need to make research for something that is completely available. It changed the way that we do instructional support. We need to, advertise more open resources, and it might change the way that we do text with publisher deals at the level of the library or the university. So we need to be careful about that open portion. Institutional metrics of student success might be impacted for that. There is some evidence that students stay more in courses where the resources are open because they are not discouraged or they get sometimes better grades. It matters for your faculty that are trying to publish in the teaching area instead of the research. If they are trying to create a textbook or teaching materials, you might need copyright support to decide which licenses. And of course, you might need an institutional repository to put those materials that do not fit in any of the other places. So, next bucket, open science. Open science is based mostly on what is called a reproducibility crisis. What's happening with science? Because this type of model where you need to publish more and more and more, and your publication needs to have the high impact, so your reputation grows, and that is your research impact, has, in a sense, facilitated some unethical practices from part of some researchers, in which they tweak their methodological analysis, their methodologies, or their statistical analysis to obtain results that are more positive, more impactful, more significant. And what happens is when someone else tries to do the same thing, because they don't know what were the tweaks that were done, and those that are kind of hidden, basically they are completely unable to reproduce those results. And science, it's made up of you discover new knowledge and other people confirm, yes? Make corroborations and say, oh yes, I found the same result. We all agree now that this is a reality, this is something new. If only one person is able to obtain that result, that's not scientifically significant, although it might have been a great publication. So the reproducibility crisis has, in a sense, given birth to some movements that are trying to counteract that way of doing science. And the open science framework, I think, is the biggest one. And it supports some initiatives like register reports. What scientists do in the open science framework is they register their study before they collect the data. They go and they say, I'm going to do this and this and this and this before they collect the data, very carefully. And then they follow up. So once they obtain the data, they cannot go back and tweak it. Because if they want to tweak it, they need to explain why they want to tweak it. So the results are a lot more consistent, and consistent with the methodology. And not only that, but depending on the process that you go, you get some journals allow you to submit your report, so you go through the peer review process at the methodology level. You do the peer review, you are accepted in the journal at the level of the methodology. Then you collect the data, and it doesn't matter if it is positive or negative, you have warranted your publication. Those two things help with reproducibility, because it's the methods, the ones that are going to ensure that you obtain the same result again and again and again. So the open science framework is very heavy on that, and our psychology students are very into this. And we are doing some events teaching other students how to participate in the open science framework. I think because psychology as a discipline has very complex statistical analysis, so some people have used that complexity to manipulate the results. Okay, for libraries, of course. Whomever wants to go into open science needs a lot more research support, they need a lot more metadata support. Because going through those methodologies in a very, very careful detail requires a lot of metadata. Saying what we are going to do, what are your variables, how you are going to analyze this. Graduate student support, mostly, because this is where the movement is the heaviest. Faculty are slowly, some younger faculty going there, but graduate students are the ones that are pushing for it more. And it requires, in a sense, a cultural change in the disciplines. So, open data. Open data is very linked to open science in a sense, because the result of every research is data. So scientific research, you get data. Non-scientific research, you get data. And there are what is called fair principles. Remember the 5R for OER? You need to respect those to be an OER. Well, the same thing. You need to respect the fair principles to be open data. So your data is open when it's findable. People can find it. It's not in your drawer. It's somewhere where people can go and find it. So it's accessible. So it's in a format that people can download and access. It's not in a very proprietary thing that you have the only computer that can read. And it's interoperable. So you can change from one software to the other. It's a format, file format, for example, that you can open in a lot of other softwares. And it can be read by computers. Yes? And it is reusable. So you can understand what that data is. Because people can use very weird codes to code their variables. And unless they explain you what that code means, nobody can understand. So you need to have the fair principles to be considered open data. It influences your research impact, of course, because if you make your data available, people can reuse, can find other things using your same data. You can be cited, so you can have more citations. Of course, there is the fear that if you open your data, people might be able to find wrong things with your data. So it makes you a little bit open in a sense that you are more vulnerable when you go the open data route. But you know, our new young generations, they are tough cookies. They're going there. There are some data repositories like Triad, a lot for biology, Zenodo and Figshare for any discipline where you can put your data. R3 data is a place where you can search all those repositories at the same time. It's kind of direct. There are big competition from the publishers. The publishers are coming up with their own data repositories, and when you publish now in an article in a journal that's owned by a publisher, most of them contact the author. My professors have told me several times that they have been very insistent that you put your data on their repository. So they are trying to own the entire enterprise, okay? Not just the article, they are trying to own the data. So we need to be very careful, very vigilant, and inform our community about why it's not good to go to the Mendeley repository. It's better to put Zenodo or Triad, which are open. Any questions? Okay. So open data, what is the relevance for us? Institutional repositories. There are things that do not fit anywhere, or the format is too weird, or it's too small, or, you know, if you have an institutional repository, you can put everything that your people create in one place. Of course, you need a good research support, so they can understand, that they can do data management plans that are relevant, and they need a lot of metadata support, as I said. It's going to influence their research impact, and it's important for their scholarly publishing as well. I still have time, so open source. Last bucket. This is the one probably that I know less, because open source is about open code, open programming, open software. But although it's one of the oldest communities, computer scientists were one of the first communities that decided to work in a sense collaboratively as a community and open a lot of their resources. Open source means the code to a particular software or pieces of code that you are using to run programs or analysis or anything are shared. And not only shared, but the community works together to support those resources and find the, you know, bugs and correct them and make it better, etc. And I think the new name that I have seen everywhere, I don't know if it's new, it's new to me. I used to know about open source, but now everybody's coming with this FOSS, which is free and open source software. And I don't know, Peter computers, it has been there for a long time.
It's been that way for a while. It's kind of, there's kind of two models now with an open source. Like Red Hat Linux is open source, so you can get the code, but if you want to use their software, then you're really expected to buy into their subscription model.
Okay.
For updates and those sorts of things. So FOSS kind of tells you, differentiates to say that this software is completely free. There's no strings attached.
And something very similar is happening on the open education movement. Some people say that being completely free is unsustainable for some people, for companies that want to invest. So Lumen, for example, is a very important open educational resources company that charges a small fee for ancillary materials. They use all open educational resources. And there are code repositories, of course, and I think it's the one that's best well known is GitHub. I even have an account in GitHub. Like, oh yes, I have an account there. I don't use it much, but it's waiting for me. Whenever I want, it's there. This is the octo cat, I think, which is the very early symbol of GitHub. It looks like a mix of a squid with a cat, I'm not sure. Whatever. So GitHub is really the main hub for the open source community. And anybody can have an account, even Finally, what is important for us? Well, IT software. What is the type of software that we use in the library? It's open. It's open source. It's not. So we need to think where we want to invest. And for our instructional support, it's also important. I know Thinkerspace, Allegra. She's Thinkerspace. Everybody from Thinkerspace is doing a lot of work. R from also Adrienne, to teach students how to work with open source software and projects and applications. And of course, we might need copyright support for our people trying to create those resources. According to my thing, we still have 12 minutes. So, now we hit the low part of ethical issues. And I said these are good or bad issues related to the interplay between open and the traditional models. And I think one of the biggest ones, and you might have heard, is the predatory publishers. Our faculty use predatory publishers as their mantra against open access. Oh, you have the predatory publishers. The truth is, we have had predatory publishers forever. It's just that, it's true, the online environment would make easy to have open access resources, also made easy for predators to prey, or to prey on their prey. That's weird. Okay, it makes easy for predatory publishers to survive, because it makes a lot of easy through an APC model to get money ahead and then do not provide the services. Basically, a definition of a predatory publisher is a publisher that do not offer the services that they promise to provide. All publishers need to, scholarly publishers need to provide access to the resources, need to do editorial, need to do the peer review process with people that are knowledgeable about. The predatories, they don't do the peer review, they use false names for their editorial board. The quality of the editorial, the grammar, etc., they don't correct anything. So the result is a very low quality product. So that's why I predatory. But you can recognize those. You can recognize predatory publishers. We just need to teach our faculty what are the telltale signs to recognize that predatory publisher. So they don't need to go there. The other big one, to create or use open access resources requires time, requires an investment for faculty. It's a lot easier to use a textbook that has all the materials on the side, all the questions, and you just assign a textbook, you don't worry anymore, done. If you decide to use an open access book and you need to modify and you need to change and you need to make sure that everything is accessible, it's going to take costly time. So it might require to provide incentives. Why are you going to ask your people to do more? You need to convince them what is the good in doing this more, and you might have to provide those incentives. So the carrots. Okay, you can go the other way, the stick. I couldn't find a good image. So I said, let's talk about the carrots. The carrots are positive. The carrots are the thing that will make your faculty get on board. The sticks, they might not like that. But some universities have gone there. For example, if you don't put all your articles in the institutional repository, you cannot go ahead with your tenure package, for example. If you have things that are not in the repository, they will actually say, oh, we are missing these articles for institutions that have an open access policy. And this is the last one, and it's one of the biggest, is the local and global inequalities. And I like this because we have a vision of the world, but the North-South is our inventions, yes? The world is round and it goes in space, who cares? So, you know, South America might be up there. But there are a huge difference between the, let's say, more rich countries and some countries that do not have as many resources or infrastructure. And one of the things that the community is discussing is how to move forward without perpetuating the current inequalities. So we need to find a way, because it involves money, it involves reputation, it involves infrastructure. If you do not provide those, if you don't open those to the countries that might not have those, then you are, in a sense, reinforcing the traditional system just under the open access umbrella. Okay? So we need to think very carefully about that. And so, ethical relevance for libraries. Of course, scholarly communications. Yes? Everything in an institution of higher education is about how you communicate your scholarly record, how you mobilize that knowledge. It's about the research impact of your people, it's about access to resources, and in a sense, for me, is freedom of information. Yes? Freedom of information is a human right. It's a recognized human right. And open access is kind of our best bet to help with the freedom of information at a global level. And so, here is my final slide. So, as a whole, this big umbrella, open scholarship, why this is relevant for us. And for me, it's almost because it's all kind of a domino effect. When you start changing something, you change something else, and you change something else. And in the end, you have the landscape changing. I think, personally, that the open access war has been won. We won the open access war. What we have now is a lot of battles to end, skirmish, you know, fighting, and it's going to take a few years until the publishers came in and said, yeah, okay, you beat me. However, during those years, we will have to see what we need to do to prepare us for when this open access actually becomes the mainstream way of communicating scholarship in the higher education world. And we need to prepare with collection management, what we are going to do, where the different buckets of money are going to come or go. We need to have a plan for when all the journals in a particular big publisher, for example, decide to go open access. So we need to be ready to redistribute that money that is going to subscription to other places. It changed our educational mission, yes? If we want to get into open, we need to advertise, we need to teach, we need to reinforce open resources, open software, open everything, open practices. It might change the functional support that we have at the library. We might need to invest more in particular areas that now are more relevant to support our faculty and students that are trying to get into that new world. And that might lead, in a sense, to changes in the library organization. New units appearing, some units disappearing, shrinking in some places, increasing, the need for new people in others. And that might be upsetting for a lot of people that like things to stay the same. Well, I don't think that they are going to stay the same for a long time, because open access is here, open access is coming, and it's going to hit us in all those different levels. And I'm happy that we are all thinking about it and moving, and I'm sure we will be prepared for whatever comes our way. And that's it. Open access symbol, thanks. And this is from the British Library. I saw it with my own eyes, although the photo is not mine. And said, information wants to be free. We cannot move in this world anymore. Break those idols and move on. Take flight. Okay? Questions? And you still have 3 minutes. Yes?
Apologies if you covered this earlier, but I missed it. So you talked about all the different levels of copyright, so CC0, CC BY, CC BYS. Anyway, is there kind of a practice within the ring that of what type of copyright permission is?
CC BY is the one. CC BY is the one that is recommended. Most gold open access journals actually go with CC BY, the most permissive in a sense, because it's easier. It's a lot easier. While I say judging what is non-commercial is very difficult sometimes. So that means a lot of legal problems on trying to. The no derivative is a problem if people want to reuse. So most publishers are trying to move to the CC BY or CC BY share alike, at least. That's it. If it is open, it needs to stay open. Joe?
I was going to say, I wonder if one thing that could happen is if librarians get more involved in disciplinary associations, like maybe MLA or CAA, and on committees that are talking about the instructional standards. And then, because really what needs to happen is we have to create a viable alternative to Marilyn Stockstead's art history or Kleiner's art history or something like that, because these are these easy tools that the faculty are using, and they know how they work. And everything is already set up for them, and maybe would be a way to see where I'm going with this?
Yes, and I think in part, as I said, we have a lot of resources that are very easy for faculty to use to create that cultural change. We need to offer some incentives. If not, why? They are not going to move. Yes, and we can help them facilitating that transition. But in a sense, they need to be the ones that start the transition. We cannot do it for them, but we can help the students, we can help the new generation. I'm putting a lot of faith on the graduate students. I think we are working with the graduate students, the scholars of tomorrow. That's where we can make the highest impact at this point.
And have the textbooks rewritten from the recitations.
Yes, could be. Yes, so more support for textbooks that already exist as part of, pamphlets or other doc. Yes.
Moriana, I really liked your slide that was about research impact and the increase in actual research impact. But one of the disconnects I see on campus, right, is that people are still lingering on the idea of citation as the only measure of impact, right, instead of social impact. Do you have any thoughts on how we can talk to faculty about that?
Well, I think one of the big things that are going to support us is that there was a change in the language in the promotion and tenure book last year to support community engaged scholarship. Because open access is all about engaging with the community in a different way. It's by sharing whatever you create in an open access so everybody in the community can use it, and by creating products that go and help the community with their problems, the open pedagogy thing. So the fact that our faculty is starting to move in the direction of recognizing that community engaged scholarship is important and valuable is going to help us to sell the open access movement under that lens. You are making your things available to the whole community, to the whole world. It's a globalized. Ooh. Yes. Hey. Oh my God. How do we stop that? I think we're done. But you can ask me. You can come here and I can answer your question. Thank you very much.